Hello and welcome to Disconnected. So I found a nice little video this morning by the Young Turks, and they're actually going over what AOC has said regarding this potential, is it even potential, discussed plan of banning TikTok in the States. So let's get on with it, because I find, as usual, the Young Turks always have good discussions about these sort of things. Although in this case, I must admit, I don't agree with all of it. So let's see what AOC has to say.
This is Rep AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and this is my first TikTok. Now, this is not only my first TikTok, but it is a TikTok about TikTok. Now, this week, the CEO of TikTok came and testified before Congress as there is growing rumblings and discussion over a nationwide ban on the app. Do I believe TikTok should be banned? No.
There you have progressive lawmaker Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez arguing that we should not ban TikTok here in the United States, despite some of the security concerns and privacy concerns and its ties to the Chinese government. Now, her advocacy is interesting in that I think we agree with her, because there are some serious constitutional concerns, free speech concerns when it comes to banning this. There are legal experts who have weighed in. There are also some concerns about how she and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus took money from ByteDance, which of course is the company behind TikTok. ByteDance donated about $150,000 to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus last year. But to be clear, I don't think that that is what swayed AOC's decision or opinion on this matter, especially when you consider that she's one of the top fundraisers in the Democratic Party, small dollar donors, of course. I don't think that she's fiending for $150,000. But nonetheless, before we get any further, let AOC explain her argument in favor of not banning TikTok.
First of all, I think it's important to discuss how unprecedented of a move this would be. The United States has never before banned a social media company from existence, from operating in our borders. And this is an app that has over 150 million Americans on it. Some of the arguments about banning TikTok have come in with respect to discussions around Chinese surveillance and utilization of data that is tracked, and the enormous amount of tracking on US citizens and data that is harvested by TikTok. That doesn't really address the core of the issue, which is the fact that major social media companies are allowed to collect troves of deeply personal data about you that you don't know about without really any significant regulation whatsoever. In fact, the United States is one of the only developed nations in the world that has no significant data or privacy protection laws on the books.
She's absolutely right about that. In fact, some political scientists call it, information capitalism or data capitalism, in that, you're using a service, you think that, this service is free, but it's not really free, because they're gathering your data and selling it to third parties at a tremendous profit. So I think that she raised a lot of interesting and accurate points there, Cenk. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I don't think any of the attacks against TikTok are honest. So is the issue of them being owned by China a real issue where they might transfer data to China? Yes, it is a real issue. By the way, they proposed Project Texas, where then Oracle, an American company, would make sure that none of the data goes to China. But all the Republicans dismissed, I'm sorry, not Republicans, all the politicians dismissed it out of hand. I said, why? That looks like an interesting proposal. That might actually solve the problem. In fact, their proposal, the politicians' proposal, is insane. They're saying we're going to ban the app entirely. That would be the biggest freedom of speech violation probably the country has ever seen, and not even close. That's 150 million Americans that are expressing their speech there and have a library of content where they have expressed speech. And by the way, also have small businesses that they have set up on that. If they cared about the so-called business community, this is where they would go, oh, wait a minute, there's tons, and there's like hundreds of thousands of small businesses on TikTok, wiping all of that out. You're gonna go to the nuclear option first, which is a ban? That doesn't make any sense. There's 1,000 other ways to focus on the issue of them not being able to transfer data to the Chinese government. So when you tell me that you're not going to any of those more reasonable options and you're immediately going to the most extreme option, what you're telling me is this really isn't about transferring data to China. We just want to shut this stuff down, okay? So why do they want to shut it down? Very good reasons. Republicans saw that they lost the midterm elections partly because of TikTok. I'm not exaggerating. And by the way, also the 2020 election. The increase in younger voters, both in 2020 and in 2022, made a difference for the Democrats in the Senate and for Joe Biden to win the election. If the young people hadn't showed up in a greater number, Biden would have lost. Trump would be president.
That's true. I mean, the race was much closer in these swing states than I think corporate media would have you believe.
Yeah, I see this stat all the time. 3 swing states, Biden only won by 43,000 votes combined in those 3 states.
That's insane.
If young people hadn't showed up to vote, Trump is president and the Republicans have the Senate. So the Republicans are like, kill TikTok at all costs, okay? Now, other business interests like Meta, Facebook, that owns Facebook and Instagram, they're like, they are literally paying for propaganda in a lot of the different media against TikTok, pretending that they are concerned about the Chinese data issue. No, they're concerned that TikTok's eating their lunch, right? So Facebook and all of the other mega platforms like Twitter, controlled by an out of control right winger, Elon Musk. Yet there's no talk of shutting down Twitter, the bias of Twitter, etc.
How Twitter is used to manipulate the electorate.
Exactly. How about the bots on Twitter, the trolls on Twitter? How about the foreign agents on Twitter? How about the foreign agents on Facebook, right?
That's a really good
These
point.
are actually proven facts.
Yeah.
There's been no proven foreign agents on TikTok. But wait, we're talking about banning them, but not the ones that we know had foreign agents operating on them. Because it's a coordinated campaign by all of the media to attack TikTok, including mainstream media. Oh, they hate the digital media is killing them. And now TikTok's the hottest, okay? Finally, you get to the corporate Democrats. The corporate Democrats.
Right, I'm gonna stop here because there's a couple of things that I noticed, which is like something I need to add something to. Number one, it is true. Like, why would you ban TikTok for this fear of being able to greatly swing elections when we know that the others were instrumental? Facebook especially was instrumental, for example, during the Trump campaign and all the kind of foreign actors that played a massive part in fake news on both sides. So let's not go there. But the fact that social media can be so effectively used to swing something, and not in a democratic way, but in a very undemocratic way, in a sense that the more money that an advertiser for a certain political orientation throws at it, the more money you throw at it, the more you can swing people with all sorts of things like fake news or just bombarding with weird stuff, weird facts, etc., etc. So there's no difference between TikTok and Facebook. And as they say, it's been proven that both Facebook and Twitter were heavily targeted with this kind of misinformation thing during the last 5-6 years or more, both on Brexit and in the American elections. So TikTok is not an outlier, it's just another one. The other thing that annoys me here is they're trying to say that there's so many businesses that now rely on TikTok or have been built around TikTok. And all I can say is, like, this is so common since the internet came up, where people have used a certain app or a certain web service and built an entire business on it. And firstly, you think, well, this is amazing because it means that all sorts of people who might have created income, have created jobs, have created a business for themselves, which is lucrative, out of this beautiful new concept of the internet. But at the same time, it is also kind of stupid because we know that the internet is not this, at least these platforms are not something that has massive longevity. So if I start a business on TikTok, I would be stupid to think that I would be able to use that service for, my duration of my career, let's say 20 years, 30 years. We know that these platforms come and go, and even if they don't come and go, the way that they have set up their model might change so much that at some point your own business model that you have created within that environment cannot work anymore because of new regulations that the software, the app, the platform might introduce. A good example was Google Maps. This kind of free integration of certain things into Google Maps. Let's say you want to set up some sort of website where you create a database of places that do X, Y, or Z, and then you have like an application which somebody can search and they can find these places on Google Maps, and you can use the whole Google Maps environment, and then suddenly they wanted money for it, or they changed the way the API works, or etc., etc. And this goes on and on and on. So building a business on it is maybe wonderful, and lots of people have created a massive, lovely business and income on it. But at the same time, it is kind of silly to think that this would have been something that has longevity. And I mean long-term longevity, which is what you really want from a business. There are actually quite a few examples. I mean, just people who run YouTube channels. At any point in time, YouTube can change their terms of service in such a way that your business model kind of doesn't work anymore. Or TikTok could do the same. OnlyFans, all these things have this potential.
Or like, well, it was nice that we won those elections, but we have to be a hawk against China.
That's right. That's the other part of this, right?
Oh, this is the Chinese Communist Party. They walk right into a Republican talking point because guys like Biden honestly are idiots that base their policies and their strategies on 40 years ago. We have to be tough against the communists, right?
Well, I don't think that's a fair argument, because I think a lot of people don't understand how much of your personal data is actually scraped through the likes of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok, Snapchat, what, you name it. And even those who know how deep that rabbit hole goes, they then have to make that decision. Do I really want to use this app so badly that I'm happy for all this personal data to go to corporations who can then funnel bullshit at me, all the time, or Cambridge Analytica getting it and trying to convince me to vote for X, Y, Z coming the next election through all sorts of manipulations of my feed and the algorithm. That's really bad enough. But do I then really want other countries and God knows their regimes to also have access to it? And to be fair, if I then think about that, it's like, who's to say that Facebook, that they aren't Chinese companies or kind of quangos that buy that data from the likes of other platforms anyway? And that's why personally I actually think that they should ban actually all social media. Because it has also been proven how desperately bad these instant gratification social media platforms are, like Instagram and TikTok, for young people, for self-image, for driving them down rabbit holes, taking up their concentration on anything else of the day. We know that. I mean, these are all things that have been studied and proven.
All of us 85-year-old Democrats agree. That's half of it. The other half of it is they're like, what if these kids vote in primaries? Then none of the corporate Democrats might ever win again in a primary. So now everyone in power is incentivized to lie to you and tell you that TikTok's the biggest danger. don't believe the hype. And thank you to AOC and other progressives rising out of their slumber and going, oh, right, yes, these are our voters. Yes, we should defend them.
One of the other problems I see, though, and I don't think AOC falls in this category at all. She's young, she's with it, she's very active on social media. But there is a problem with people, lawmakers in particular, who don't really understand how social media works or don't really understand how, in some cases, the internet works. And they're the ones who make decisions. They're the ones who write the legislation and vote on legislation that has an impact on the internet, on our data, on these social media platforms. So that concerns me too. But overall, I do think that AOC is right here. And again, I want to reiterate, there are all sorts of people who will lose if they ban TikTok. So our free speech rights might be violated according to legal.
Yeah, I don't understand why your free speech are being violated. There's enough platforms for your free speech. So it's not like they're taking away your free speech. Are we saying that people didn't have free speech before the internet? I mean, come on, that's a stretch. A classic American suing kind of attitude.
Experts, as I mentioned earlier, but I didn't even realize this. Many people rely on TikTok for their own small businesses and their own self-employment. So there's a personal financial component to that as well.
And if you're wondering, wait a minute, Congress always does what business interests want. Why aren't they doing it in this case?
These are like individuals.
So this is a really good point and a really important point. And in my opinion of this whole video, for at least for America, well, to be fair, in the UK as well, one of the most important takeaways.
There's small businesses,
actual small businesses,
who do not donate to politicians.
Exactly.
The only relevant businesses are the ones that donate to politicians. If you don't bribe them, then they don't care about you. If you bribe them, then they love you and will do anything to protect you. That is why they are trying to protect, and that's another factor here, the media companies that are donors to those politicians. They're helping them by trying to destroy TikTok on their behalf. Thanks for watching The Young.
And it's because of all these points that they raised in this that I literally swing from, yeah, ban it to, no, don't ban it. Anyway, it would be awesome to see your comments below. Thank you for watching. Take care.